I am Shobhana Radhakrishna. I welcome you, Dobradoshli, to this talk in the webinar organized by hosted by the Indian Embassy in Zagreb along with the Zagreb University. I am very grateful to Ambassador Bagchi for agreeing to host it, and to Jyoti Sharma ji, who has worked so hard to make this happen, and all the people in the Department of Indology, Kresho ji and Ivan ji. I really miss meeting you all, but this is the best opportunity we have to thank each other, to be with each other, to hold hands and say that we are all in this together. We will get by. We are not afraid. We will get through this entire thing. We will be better human beings and we will live in harmony with nature. So this talk on Mahatma Gandhi today is based on his health experiments. Also, I would like to just add another dimension to social health and health experiments, saying that it is about social and spiritual health experiments as detailed health, through which Mahatma Gandhi gave the message to the world on the vital question of health and well-being to carry out the real purpose of life. And that he demonstrated through his life, all of his 79 years. To him, the study of this question was part of the service to God and his creation, which was Gandhi's message. His message was very simple, yet it was difficult to follow. It encouraged every Indian to respect simplicity, Indian tradition and culture, and the values taught by Indian ancestors. His attire represented a message to lead a simple life of voluntary self-control and voluntary poverty. His teachings included instruction on the manner of dress, of wearing khadi, of swadeshi, of personal hygiene, sanitation, and health and well-being. He was very particular about sanitation and health, and these values, whatever the individuals had their virtues, he wanted to establish them as societal values so that they could make a choice that reflect the. In these times of coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, I must firstly congratulate Croatia for so successfully coming out of it, and it shows the resolve of not only the leaders but of all the people. So I give my salutations to the people of Croatia who have demonstrated to the world how one has to live by obeying all the things that the scientists and doctors and the government is saying. So that is a wonderful thing. But as you know, under the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, every corner of the world has been affected, and everybody, rich or poor or any strata of people, every strata of people are reeling under the impact, though it could be a financial crisis pandemic or emotional pandemic or pandemic of fear of death. So the pandemic has impacted everybody across the world. In such times, we have to learn from Mahatma Gandhi, who had said, "My life is my message," because more than a century ago, Mahatma Gandhi was the most influential leader and a political thinker of his times. And this was said by the greatest scientist of the first half of the 20th century, Albert Einstein. He had also said that generations to come will scarce believe that such a one in flesh and blood ever walked on this earth. And what we need to remember is that he was just like us, an ordinary person, just like you and me. And he became from a very fearful, shy, timid lad to a absolutely fearless person who kept waving the flag of nonviolence and peace in front of the greatest empire of that time, the British Empire. So it is a very great privilege to talk about something which he was so very interested from his childhood, that is of health, because he wanted to become a doctor. but having been born in a Vaishnava family, his relatives said that his father would not have liked it. So immediately he dropped the idea and proceeded to become a barrister. So the rest is history, but I will once again thank the ambassador Shri Arindam Bagchi ji for all his support and help as always. And it was such a pleasure to meet him in Colombo and again last year in Croatia, in Zagreb, and to Professor Dr. Jyoti Sharma, to Ivanji, to Kreshoji, and all of you have hosted this seminar. For us also, it's a very unique experience to just meet everybody sitting in our place, in our home. So it is wonderful, and this you are doing in the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, as well as during these times of the COVID pandemic, in which the entire world is facing some kind of problem or the other, and pandemic of uncertainty is a very large fear that is looming all over the place. Last year when I visited Zagreb from 7th to 10th October on a lecture tour, Indian Embassy had organized 2 lectures, one at your same place. I think I'm seeing the photo and I was so happy to be there. And as Ivanji said, we had samosas also. So I'll miss that, but my virtual samosas to you after the lecture. And then our embassy had organized a lecture at the Croatia India Society. If people have joined from Croatia India Society, I really remember them and thank them for being here. So according to my understanding, Mahatma Gandhi's life was an epic of faith and endeavor. His faith was in truth, the ultimate reality of truth, and he endeavored to attain it through non-violence till the very last breath. Mahatma Gandhi's adherence to truth, non-violence and purity of means, coupled with service to humanity, has inspired me to give these talks and Gandhi Katha in every corner of the world so that people can put their hearts into understanding Mahatma Gandhi's life, understand his thought, action and message through his life, learn about his contribution to health and well-being. Also, one more thing that needs to be learned is his contribution to public health during the outbreak of plague, bubonic plague in South Africa, and later on during the war, the Anglo-Boer War and the Zulu uprising, how he served selflessly. He went to the front and actually acted as a stretcher bearer through his Natal Ambulance Corps, and also during the 1918 Spanish influenza pandemic, how he came to the forefront, though he was very sick with great fatigue and dysentery, but he opened up his ashram, Sabarmati Ashram, for people to come and be quarantined and took care of them through nature cure. So what we learn from Mahatma Gandhi is his ethical, moral and spiritual lifestyle that was rooted in the ancient Indian wisdom tradition, and which resonates even till today, because during my tour to 33 countries, where I gave more than 148 lectures and Gandhi Katha, I saw that many people are following Gandhiji's teachings, and many more youth and all kinds of people want to know more about Gandhi. What is it that resonates with everybody? It is that simplicity. It is things that come from his heart. It is the fact that he defined truth as utter as you say and act as you utter. That means there has to be harmony between your thoughts, words and deed. That was his simple definition of truth, and therefore there was no discrepancy between what he said and what he did. Even about truth and non-violence, Gandhiji maintained that I have nothing new to teach. Truth, non-violence and purity of means are as old as the hills. I am merely putting them into practice in newer fields at this time. So this is the kind of life that Mahatma Gandhiji led, a very life full of compassion, love, empathy, humility, fearlessness, and it is something we need to learn, because all of us can transform ourselves by learning from Mahatma Gandhi ji. I must tell you that Indian civilization is an has influence of many things from the earliest time of Indus civilization, the Vedic period. And in the Vedic period especially, we were known as the Vishwa Manush, or global citizens. They had already talked about it, Vishwa Manav, and we were part of the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. They treated world as the entire family. And again, coronavirus has just demonstrated that same thing, that we are people who are global citizens and we are part of the same human family, very interrelated and interdependent, and we only have one home, which is this planet Earth. So the stream of this civilization continued from Lord Rama, Krishna, Mahavir, Gautam Buddha, the saint poets Kabir, Nanak Dev ji, Surdas ji, Tulsidas ji, Gyanoba, Tukoba, Narsingh Mehta, Mirabai, the Sufi saints, the saints of South India, Shaka, Huns, the Gujars, Mughals, on to Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, to Muhammad Iqbal, up to Mahatma Gandhi. So we see that there is a continuation of the same tradition going on and on. They come as role models for us. And Lord Krishna had said in his chapter 3rd verse, Yadyad acharati shreshthas tattat evetaro jana sa evam pramanam kurute lokas tat anuvartate. As the Shrestha Purusha, or the enlightened people, as they act, so do all others act after watching them. So we need to have role models, and this is the time when Gandhiji is not there, but we need to become role models by learning from Gandhiji. At the age of 19 years, in 1890, Gandhiji, after spending his 18 formative years in India, where the seeds of his spirituality were sown, he went to London to study law. And there he had a problem, because he had taken 3 vows in front of his mother. So he had to remain a vegetarian, and food became a big problem. So because of his habit of walking up to 18 kilometers per day in the morning and evening, he was walking around to find vegetarian restaurants, and he came across a good restaurant, had a hearty meal, but he also found the book on vegetarianism by Henry Salt. Henry Salt, as you know, he was an English social reformer, campaigner, and a scholar, and he was the first one who spoke up for animal rights. He was a pacifist, he was a biographer, classical scholar, and a naturalist, and he has spoken about vegetarianism. Now this young lad, about 19-year-old Mohandas Gandhi, got absolutely convinced that he was on the right track, so he was immediately inspired to set up a vegetarian society, and he brought out his magazine, or maybe he just contributed an article in the Vegetarian magazine, and that was the beginning of his career as a journalist. So for all his life, he edited 4 newspapers for 4 decades. He wrote, his collected works run into more than 99 volumes, and he used to write 200 letters every day. So for a person who was born 100 years ago, he comes across as a colossus. So it was Henry Salt who first introduced Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, to the influential works of Thoreau and more on vegetarianism, and he became a member of the Vegetarian Society. And this is how his interest in vegetarianism began, because he was a reformer from his childhood, and he kept experimenting on himself and started reading a lot of books of philosophers and writers and thinkers of the West. So he came across books on naturopathy by Thomas Allinson, I'm sorry, I may pronounce the names wrongly. If I'm wrong, then please correct me. Sebastian Knipp, born in Germany in 1821, he was a Bavarian priest and a forefather of the naturopathy medicinal movement. Benedict Lust was also born in America, and he was the one person who was the founders of the naturopathic medicine in the first decade of the 20th century. Here this man, young lad, kept on reading and equipping himself, and he opened up his mind, and that broadened his vision. And as he started experimenting from the childhood, from the student days, about his diet and about curing himself through nature cure, all these things help, because the term naturopathy originates from natura, the Latin root for birth, and pathos, the Greek root for survival, to suggest natural healing. So this is how Gandhi got interested in nature cure. And the first thing is, Gandhi called himself a practical idealist. Whatever he liked, whatever he read, or whatever he heard, he immediately started practicing on it. Waiting was not an option for him, because as you know, time is the most precious resource that all of us have. Once that time goes away, we will never get it back. So he never waited. For him, he had said that an ounce of practice is worth more than tons of preaching. So he himself he termed himself as a practical idealist, and this is what he kept doing, experimenting on himself all the time. His autobiography, which is also, I think, available in Croatian language, of course it is available in Croatian language, is known as the story of my experiments with truth. People who have not read it, maybe it's time to just go back, because it's the most inspirational book and cheapest inspirational book that you will come across. From 1894 to 1914, Barrister Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi spent about 21 years in South Africa. As a social activist and an organizer, he started writing articles under the heading Guide to Health for the readers of newspaper in Indian Opinion. These were, of course, later published in a book form. It was called Guide to Health. So Mahatma Gandhi, as he kept on experimenting with nature cure, he really became a doctor of nature cure. He established nature cure centers. He became the first, he can be seen as the first Indian nutritionalist in India, the first wellness guru of the first half of the 19th century, whose experiments remain relevant to all times. In 1942, he started the Quit India movement and was imprisoned on 8th August 1942 in the Aga Khan Palace jail, and there he had the time to write the chapters for his book called Key to Health, because he came to understand that the book was not available in India, and it became somehow very, very popular. Once this book came, he started writing on 27th August 1942 and completed it on 18th of December 1942. To him, the subject of health and well-being was so important that he took his time, he waited, and he looked through them again and again, because every day he was progressing while experimenting, and that is why he had a trait of being ever progressive. Every day he learned something and experimented it. So he wanted the book to have everything that he had already experimented. The original, of course, as Dr. Jyoti said, was written in Gujarati. So Mahatma Gandhi got it translated in Hindustani and English by his doctor, Dr. Sushila Nair, who was a very young girl at that time, under his own guidance. He also went through both the versions, both the translations, and gave them the final touch. So readers who are reading the English translation can take it as Mahatma Gandhi's own rendering of what he wished to convey to people and to the world on the vital question of health, well-being and spirituality. That English translation reached the West, and it was translated in many European languages, and the book became very popular of my writing. He said, I have never been able to understand the reason for its popularity, because he just wrote the articles casually, did not attach much importance to him, because big importance to the articles, because he was actually experimenting every day. But perhaps the reason was he thought that he looked upon health from a novel point of view, somewhat different from the orthodox methods adopted by doctors and Vaidyas or practitioners of alternative medicines. But again he said that whether my presumption is correct or not, so it can only be told to me by my friends who are putting it into practice, and many people actually really benefited from his nature cure practices. Gandhiji himself treated 30,000 patients through nature cures. Even during the 1904 bubonic plague outbreak in South Africa, 23 patients were very sick, and out of them 3 patients Gandhi was treating through nature cure. They survived, and rest of others who were undergoing the treatment by a white nurse in South Africa, they all perished. So this is one very beautiful book, which of course is very different for people of this generation. It was written 100 years ago. So you have to see what kind of a visionary Gandhi was, how much he practiced on it, because there are very few people who say what they do. So this is something like Gandhi's translation of the Bhagavad Gita, which is Anasakti Yoga, or the gospel of selfless action, in which he claimed that he has lived according to the central messages of the Bhagavad Gita, selflessly, without attachment and possession, for over 38 years. So that was a very different kind of a book, and someday, if possible, I will give a talk on Anasakti Yoga, the gospel of selfless living. So then, as he wrote in his preface that I am giving a new name, Key to Health. Anyone who observes the rules of health mentioned in this book will find that he has got in it a real key to unlock the gates leading him to health. He will not need to knock at the doors of doctors and Vaidyas from door to door. Perhaps the greatest source of strength for Mahatma Gandhi was in his faith in God. He said, truth is God, Satya hi Parameshwar hai. And the deepest and the most complete form of God, that faith gave him a constant awareness that he was to be nothing but an instrument in God's hands. He had to go wherever God led him. And for him, the guidance of God constituted 2 things. One, he had to walk on the path enlightened by truth that was available to him in whichever measures and form that was there, and secondly, he had to constantly look inwards through introspection to find inspiration, because as you know, only a person can inspire himself, nobody else can inspire anyone. So while you want to learn from Gandhiji, it is nice to know the knowledge, but it has to be converted into wisdom by putting these suggestions into action, so that you become a role model for the next generation. The deeper the faith, the greater was the endeavor for Mahatma Gandhi. His lifelong quest was in the pursuit of truth. That gave Mahatma Gandhi 2 other realizations. If God is omnipresent, truth is omnipresent too. That is, in each one of us, there is an element of truth present. There is an element of godliness present. Therefore, all of us are capable of doing good to each other. And this time in the COVID-19 pandemic, it is very important to reach out, to hold hands, virtually hold hands with each other, and make sure to tell them that we are all in it together. We are all part of the same human family, and we all love each other through empathy and compassion. And if we can do other things for them, it is more the better. So this entire thing, Gandhiji's approach to life of spirituality, is something which comes across in his approach to health also. As I said, he wanted to become a doctor from his young age, and his inner calling, or Swadharma as Gita calls it, was to desire to serve others. He started with serving his father, and that desire stayed with him, and he served the entire humanity through his own practices of nature cure. And this is, he said, that health and well-being means one should keep the body healthy without any disease, carry on the day's routine without getting tired. So just want to mention that we have, India and Croatia have a very long cultural connection that span across many centuries. Your leaders, Stefan Radic and Vladko Maček, were inspired by the non-violent movement of Mahatma Gandhi, and Radic also translated Gandhi's biography written by the French philosopher Romeo Rolla, and for his work in non-violence, Radic was also assassinated like Mahatma Gandhi. Romeo Rolla was somebody who wrote Mahatma Gandhi's biography, and he was so many things he did, and he won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1915, and that was the year when Gandhi came back to India. And people had read about Gandhi's work through Romeo Rolla's biography, and a very interesting aspect was Romeo Rolla's interest in Beethoven. So, a lady from Britain, Madeleine Slade, who was the daughter of the British Navy Admiral, came to Gandhi to Romeo Rolla to learn more about Beethoven. To which Romeo Rolla said, "Have you heard about Gandhi?" Madeleine, of course, had no clue. So he said, "Go to India, meet Mahatma Gandhi. He is another Jesus Christ." And later on, she wrote to Mahatma Gandhi, and he told her to wait and think for whole 1 year before taking such a drastic, life-altering decision. Madeleine persisted, and when she met Mahatma Gandhi in Sabarmati Ashram, at that time, she saw a brown, diminutive figure enveloped in light, and she knelt down. Mahatma Gandhi named her Meera, and Meera Behan stayed with Gandhiji, participated in the freedom struggle, and was in India for a very, very long time. So also one connection, a recent connection between India and Croatia is through the Saint Teresa of Calcutta. Ivan Illich was a Croatian Austrian philosopher and a Roman Catholic priest, and he was a strong critic of the institutions of modern Western culture. In 1978, he had come to Sevagram Ashram. That is the last ashram that Mahatma Gandhi established in his lifetime. And when he sat in the Bapu Kuti, the hut where Gandhiji used to live from 1936 to 1944, and he said that this hut of Mahatma Gandhi demonstrates to the world how the dignity of the common man can be brought up. It is also a symbol of happiness we can derive from practicing the principles of simplicity, service, and truthfulness. I am very happy to inform you that I was born in that Sevagram Ashram in Wardha, and I have spent my formative years there. My father was very inspired by Mahatma Gandhi from his childhood, so he stayed in the ashram, and after Gandhiji passed away, we have continued to follow the footsteps of Gandhiji and to make sure that we contribute to the vision of Gandhi, and that Gandhi Karya or Gandhi's path is open for the entire humanity. It's not only for our family. So during my talk in Croatia last year at the India-Croatia Society, I met such wonderful people of Croatia who gave me so much love, warmth, and compassion. And they also, it was like meeting your own family member. As I said, we are all connected just simply by being humans and being connected to each other as a human family. And I was shown this book called Nash Gandhi. It was written by Romeo Rolla's translation, done by Dr. Josip Bandekar in Croatian language, and the preface is by Radic. It was published in 1924. 40,000 copies were made for 4 million Croatians. So Radic writes very beautifully in the preface. If you have the book with you, please go through it, because I'm running short of time, so I will not be able to say, but it is just that in the end, he says that Croatian people, once they achieve their aim through the Croatian Peasant Party's struggle, they will easily realize and will, in order to repay at least to some extent the broadness and the depth of magnificent human thought which already shines today from India with the light higher than Himalayas and broader than Sahara. Christian Krekovic the distinguished Croatian painter, made this very beautiful portrait of Mahatma Gandhi when he had come to Europe on his way to the Round Table Conference, the second Round Table Conference in London. When he came back on 5th December to Paris, and he was sitting in deep prayers and meditation. At that time, this portrait was started, and it took about 5-6 years to complete. In 1936 it was completed, and they kept up a friendship with Gandhi. So it is a very nice thing to know that we, the Indians and Croatians, have shared such a wonderful bonding and warmth with each other. So coming back to the book, I must tell you that the key to health is in two parts, and the contents are the human body, air, water, food, condiments, tea, coffee, cocoa, intoxicants, opium, tobacco, brahmacharya, and the part 2 deals with the 5 elements: air, water, akash, sun and air. So Mahatma Gandhi wrote that health means body ease. A healthy person's body is free from disease. He or she carries on his or her normal activities without fatigue and can walk with ease up to 10 to 15 miles every day, and performs ordinary tasks without getting tired. Nowadays, what we are seeing is that all this mental tension is making us so tired that forget about walking about 18 kilometers or doing all the work. Everybody is getting very drained of all the energy. So Gandhi said a healthy person can digest ordinary, simple food, and he was a vegetarian. As I said, his mind as his senses are in a sense of absolute calm and poise, and therefore it is necessary for everybody to know about the human body, which is expected to attain the above standard of health. Now Gandhiji is fixing the standard of health for us, so we can always judge where we are in those standards. He was a person who was setting standards more than 100 years ago. He said the human body is composed of what the ancient seers and sages from our civilizations have maintained, the 5 elements. These are earth, water, space, light and air. So all human activities is carried out by means of the mind, aided by the 10 senses. And you know about all the sense, hands, feet, mouth, anus and genitals, and the 5 senses of perception, that is the sense of touch through the skin, smell through the nose, of taste through the tongue, of seeing through the eyes, and of hearing through the ears. Thinking is the function of the mind, and some people have called it the 11th sense. In health, this sense of the mind has to act in perfect coordination, and that's why when the ambassador was talking about the mental health, it is coming up as a very big challenge for people to keep their composure and be positive and keep the mental health intact. In Gandhi's case, I must tell you that one of his traits was that he used to be positive under all circumstances, and I feel that in these times of corona virus, we need to be very positive, we need to be patient, we need to understand that this is biodiversity is healing itself, and this is how we see wonderful things happening all around us. This is the life we need to lead as human beings with our wonderful machine, our body. The human body is the universe in miniature. That which cannot be found in the body is not to be found in the universe. Hence the philosopher's formula that the universe within reflects the universe without is also reflected in the Sanskrit proverb, Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande. You are the universe within the universe. As with the self, so is the universe. What's going on within you is what is going on in the universe. So I'll just take, I think my time is up and it's time for question answers, but I just want to give a small example of the element air, without which we cannot live. Our entire biosphere is surrounded with air everywhere, and it is a combination of many gases, but our system, our body takes in only the oxygen through our lungs through our nose into our lungs, and our noses and Our system is so designed that our nose acts as a soft filter and supplies oxygen for all the millions of cells that we have, and the lungs act as a kind of a bellow. Therefore, what we breathe in, the prana, is life-giving substance. Gandhiji said we must learn how to breathe properly, and that is a system in yoga. Yoga Day is coming up now on the 21st of June, and we have to start thinking that we have to firstly learn to breathe properly through pranayam, and to focus our minds, keep our minds calm through meditation and through the yogasanas, so that we can start breathing properly. And Gandhiji also said that one should sleep with proper ventilation, and also we must take care of clean our respiratory systems, because all the air that comes in contact with the lungs and lungs which purify have to be really kept clean. So this is just an example. So I must tell you that Gandhiji, as the first environmentalist, with his stunning premonition and knowledge, already had declared that earth has enough for man's needs, but not for man's deeds. And we are seeing that greed is the main reason for environmental degradation and the ecological crisis that all of us are facing. As he had predicted more than 100 years ago, he had also said that the earth, the air, the land and the water are not an inheritance from our forefathers, but on loan from our children. So we have to hand it over to them as it was handed over to us. So in this crisis, COVID pandemic crisis, we need to learn from the spiritual and social, ethical, moral lifestyle of Gandhiji, and about his experiments in health, because if we want to cope up physically, mentally and spiritually now, and also in the future after the coronavirus, which is going to alter the history of humanity completely for 40 to 50 years. Many lessons are very clear, many lessons are very uncertain right now. The uncertainty is causing mental stress, anxiety, existential crisis, fear of extinction and death, fear of death. And the mass psychology of living in depression and grief is pointing out towards this fact that we are collectively grieving for the loss of our known lifestyle. We cannot go back to our known lifestyle at all. So this, at a deeper level, is also pointing out that the wellness of humans is in coexisting in harmony with Mother Nature, and mere existence, our existence is dependent on living with the rhythm of the universe, and also respecting Mother Nature. The first respect that we need to show is to coronavirus. So I think